Once upon a time, someone paid $275,000 for this prestigious W12 Bentley, and I didn't. I waited until it was essentially run into the ground and got it for an unbelievable 96% off of its original price. Mind you, there are some issues. Mold is one of them. There's mold everywhere. Look at this. It was painted with a spatula. The bodywork is in less than ideal shape. So this is completely caved in. However, the equipment is good. Has an inbuilt pond, full with water. It's low mileage, only 161,000 miles. It supposedly runs good, but I bought it with an electrical issue where the whole car cuts off after about 10-15 minutes of running. What I'm getting at, it's the worst Bentley flying turd out there. And somehow things will go from worse to worser. Foolishly, I decided to try to fix it. It was schlepped back to the shop and we started with water intrusion. The right side of the interior is literally swimming in water. The sunroof drain was clogged, which was an easy enough fix. I took the front carpet out, fully flipped up the rear one, and started drying the interior. And a nice rust spot was hiding there. We got the car running up to operating temp a few times and it was running rather nicely. Did I just fix it? No. That is, up until it started leaking something. Off camera, I jumped in the car, turned it off, looked at the coolant gauge to make sure it wasn't overheating, and it wasn't. The gauge was exactly at 90 degrees Celsius. Remember that for later. We have a slight coolant leak here. That's not it though. There's something leaking below. I don't know if it's the tank, and maybe that's why this doesn't feel like coolant. It's water. We gotta let it cool off. That's water. That's not coolant, and it's definitely what was leaking earlier. So let's see where it's coming from. This is a coolant pressure tester kit with which we can put pressure on the cooling system and troubleshoot the leak. No. I think I found the winner. Yep, that feels good. I've never used that toolkit before. I bought it a long time ago. Never had the need to use it. So now we're gonna put some pressure on the cooling system. And where's it leaking from? I can hear it. It's definitely from this connection here. Is that the only spot where it's leaking? I don't see anything else, so maybe that is the only spot. That's 15 psi. It's plenty. Yeah, it's leaking from this line. Let's see if it's the rubber hose or the tank that's at fault. I think the nipple is broken. Yep. Yes. The nipple is made out of cheese. There you can see the crack. That's some crappy plastic, man. Now, how in the schnitzel do you remove this expansion tank? It's stuck underneath of the fender. Hopefully I don't need to remove the fender, but let's find out. So that's the air filter box. What does the filter look like? 2019, so not terribly old. A little bit dirty, but not the end of the world. Does it just pull up? I see an aftermarket clamp there, so someone was in here. Okay, plug the MAF. That was easy. The valve cover gasket is leaking there up front, as you can see. And look at this W12. It's pushed all the way forward, over the front axle. So two VR6s. It looks pretty small, I gotta say. It starts from there to there. It'll be fun working on this thing, so no one ever... Is that the steering rack on the top? How is that even possible? Let's cover the air intake. Don't want anything falling in there. I'm still not convinced that's the only coolant leak that this thing has. Right. We gotta unclip this from the tank. There it is. All right, and then the one on the bottom, and we should have splashes going on there. You ready? No? Good. Yeah, that's just pure water. So this was a pre-existing issue. Now let's see if we can just pull it out. That would be neat, if yes. Oh, it feels like it's ready to come out. It's just there's a lot going on here. Aha, we have a coolant level sensor. Plug that. Hey, that was easy. Surprisingly easy. All right, I'm gonna go search for a replacement part. Once that comes in, I can perhaps even drive this thing. Good news, everybody. It's a brand new day, which means a brand new leak. The tire is leaking. Remember how the brake fluid reservoir was empty and I topped it off in the previous episode? Well, guess where that went? Precisely what I want to see in my expensive Bentley. Anyway, let's get this Elefante up in the air so we can see what that is. But also, I'm pretty sure it's not just the expansion tank that's leaking. Something in that corner popped and it's leaking badly now, so we need to figure out that as well. I would like just to point out that I brought the car in, started fixing one thing, and in the meantime, 3 more things broke. 2 coolant leaks and now the suspension leak. I hate cars that don't have dedicated jacking points. Should be illegal. It's smashed to bits, man. I'm not so sure that this will work. Well, let's try. Where is the jacking point, dude? Is that it? Or the smashed thing here? All right, let's try this. The floor is pretty ruined already. I mean, I can't mess it up more than what it is right now. It's up! You can feel the weight. It's leaning towards the front. Let's check the suspension for play. The wheels are destroyed, tires are old, brakes are shot. Well, that feels okay. And yep, the steering rack is here. Have a look in here. That's the steering rack. That's the massive air shock and the line that goes to it and everything inside. At least visually looks okay. Let's check out the other side. But you can see just how rusty the brake disc is. There's a big lip. The wheels are completely destroyed, and these are pretty ugly wheels. If you restore this car, we need to get different wheels. I already found a set online, but it's expensive, and I don't want to start spending money on this car until I figure out what I want to do with it. Ooh! That feels like play to me. But from where? So it's side-to-side play. I think it's from this tie rod in here. See? You shouldn't have that much play. Another destroyed brake disc, air shock, and you can see a bit of rust on the lines there. And I think this might have some play, but I need to verify. We need to get the car further up in the air. Fender liner, eaten, and then this area is really bad here. Let's see, the rear left. No side-to-side play. No play in this wheel. The wheel that's leaking. No, that's good. That's good as well. Does it have LSD? It does not. Whew. I mean, who knew? It's not just BMW that leaks oil. Bilstein! Nice. It's good. I don't even know where to start. Yes, let's start in the front. The front cover, completely missing. The bumper, broken. And look at the state of the radiator and the fins. It's destroyed. There's no other word. It's been battered on by stones and everything. And I think that's due for replacement. We have oil leaks all over the place. A big one from the oil filter housing. At least that's easy to fix. Then more oil dripping from above. A zip tie here. And then the radiator, even from this side, does not look the greatest. A leak from these connections here, that's oil. And then look at the state of whatever that is. I don't know if that's Webasto or some sort of heater or whatever, but coolant goes to it, and it's in horrific state. We have some sort of small muffler here. So yeah, that's probably Webasto. Yeah, it even says that. So this is for the heating, you know, when you're in your house, you can turn on the Webasto and it's gonna heat up the cabin. Lots of surface corrosion all over the place. There you can see the rusty wheel, and we have Bilstein air suspension, so no hydraulic suspension on this car whatsoever. And I still need to determine where that play is coming from, but one of these ball joints here. This cover is at least here, and then if you go to this side, I can't see any coolant related parts from this position, so I'll have to look from above. We have a homemade bracket there, and look at the state of that CV axle. Yeah, that's been slinging grease for a while. Both of the clamps on the left side and the right side are gone. That rubber boot actually looks freshish. A lot fresher than that one, so someone was definitely in here before. And also we have a leak here from this flange here on the transmission. This is actually front diff. Oh, and another thing, someone was waiting here. Look at the state of that knuckle. Someone was hammering the crap out of that there. So that was replaced at some point. The oil pan looks dry. We have bushings here on the front subframe. That looks toasty on the right side as well, so that probably needs doing. I do wonder if this engine was ever out, because they are known for having vacuum leaks, and for that you gotta drop the whole engine. But given how many kilometers this thing has, quite possible that the engine was out, and you know, quite a lot here is not original. Then if you move down the line, speaking of not original, look at the state of the exhaust. Look at those welds. Think that's Bentley doing? I don't think so. That bolt is broken there as well. Another one missing there, so the exhaust was definitely off at some point. But floor, thus far, looks good and rust-free. That's Volkswagen for you. Let's move further down the line. Yeah, someone used goop there to seal the exhaust. And there, and that's where the brake fluid is going. Look at the state of this wheel. It is totally destroyed. The caliper is leaking heavily, I guess from the connection there or that box. This is an electronic parking brake, so this entire caliper needs to come off and see what's going on. I can't believe someone drove it like that. That's insane. So that's where we are losing our brake fluid. The output shafts, a bit rusty, but doesn't look terrible. And again, we have no play in the suspension in the back. And if you look at the state of the bushings, that looks quite okay. The diff is dry, looks like a skinny diff, but look at that. It's an F1 car. Look at that downforce. That's a nice design. I think this was one of the marketing tricks they used, and how this car managed to get up to high speed and stay stable. Stuff like this, downforce. So we definitely need a front panel in the front if we want to do a high speed run. This popped out. The exhaust tips, they're inside. So fake tips there. So that's the tour of the Bentley. It's good. You know, like I said in the first episode, it's really good. Okay, let's put the car down on the ground and see if we can find that coolant leak. Must be coming somewhere from above. Man, this car needs a crap ton of work. There's a lot of oil leaks here as well. This could be from the valve cover gasket. It could be from that power steering cooler. Down it goes. Wow, that's something. The condition of this car. So fixable still. Okay, let's see if we can find a coolant leak. It can't be just a bottle. That was way too much coolant for it to be just a bottle. Well, I've been searching, but I can't find a smoking gun. There's one line that runs underneath. It doesn't look like it's leaking. Then some connections here that go to the radiator. Maybe that's leaking. You'll have to refit the expansion tank and then pressure test it and see if it's leaking somewhere else as well. Okay, now that we know how fabulous this car is, I think we can all agree that it's total. Everything is shot on this once very expensive vehicle. So at this point, I'm thinking, let's just get it running and driving safely. I don't want to die in a Bentley. That means we got to fix the rear right caliper, the coolant leaks, the CV boots. We can fix that with some clamps. And I think at that point we can go for a nice drive, because I also want to see and feel if the transmission is good, if the suspension is good, and especially if that electrical issue with the engine comes back, if it's going to stay running for a while or it's just going to cut off. And then we can decide what we want to do with this thing. I mean, it needs complete restoration. The whole body, mechanically. The interior is in decent-ish condition, so that's not too bad, but everything else is just terrible. And it makes absolutely no logical or financial sense to restore this car, so I don't know, we'll see. Here's the brand new expansion tank, and Volkswagen Phaeton uses the same expansion tank, same part number, so I picked this up locally, 168 euros. You can get it a bit cheaper online, but I needed this fast. The tanks are a little bit different. Maybe you can see this one has bigger bulge here and this tiny hole for the screw from the fender, and this one is more flat. So I think it should still work. The part numbers are the same. First we need to transfer over this cap here. Well, that broke. Maybe it was leaking from here. This just broke. All right, I got that transferred over. Sneaky sneakers in time. Plug in the level sensor. Click. There's a grommet here that we need to nail. Push this through. There we are. Confirmed. Phaeton expansion tank does fit. I didn't even look up the price for the Bentley one, but it's definitely not going to be cheaper than this one. And that's the expansion tank replaced. This is the correct coolant from Liqui for Volkswagen. For this car, KSF 12 Evo, and I diluted a little bit of that with distilled water. I don't want to waste the good coolant until we verify that the system is tight and not leaking. And also, I'm pretty sure we're going to be draining this coolant again, because, you know, maybe the engine needs to come on. So, ignition on. Set the fan to the lowest setting and temperature to the highest. There, now you can start on coolant. Should probably get a funnel, huh? Ah, it's okay. Any leaks so far? The level is at max, so let's pressure test it. All right, got 1 bar of pressure there. It appears to be leak-free. Oh, mi esposa. Been a few minutes. Just talking to my wife on the phone, and there are no leaks at all. And the pressure is steady, it's not dropping. So that's good to see. I don't see any leaks. So maybe it was the coolant bottle. I'm gonna put the maps back on and the air filter. Let's start it, let it run, and see how it behaves. Okay. Any immediate coolant leaks? No. I'm gonna let it warm up and monitor the temperature. Let's see if we have any leaks. Like, that was a lot of coolant coming from this area here, and the expansion tank is right over there. Maybe it kind of dribbled that way down. I'm not so sure. It's been running over 20 minutes now, and just listen to it. It's smooth as silk. It didn't sputter once. No codes, no coolant leaks. The temperature is right at 90 degrees Celsius, so fixed? Probably not. But at this point, I can shut the engine off, and then let's look into that rear right caliper and see which parts I need to order. Because it's Friday. We need parts. Oh no, we have a safety locking nut. Didn't I see that somewhere? Or was that the other car that I bought? All right, I'm gonna go through the car and see if I can find that. Haha! The locking nut was in the trunk. Thank Taylor Swift. How heavy is this wheel? Made in Turkey, Bentley. What I want to know now is, where is this caliper leaking from? Is it from the housing for the parking brake motor? It looks properly bad, so I'm gonna clean it up a little bit, step on the brake, and let's see if we can see where the leak is coming from. Perhaps from the electric parking brake housing. So these should be the same calipers as on Audi A8 V3. So we should be able to get a rebuild kit for this. Okay, I'm gonna go push the brake pedal with my hand. You can start yelling at the TV, or laptop, or your phone. What do we have? That looks fresh. Let's wipe it off again. Okay, so it looks like it's coming from the housing of the electric parking brake. There, you can see fresh fluid coming out there. As this is an electronic parking brake, you need to use the diagnostic tool to retract the parking brake, and then you can remove the caliper. I don't have that diagnostic tool. I disconnected the battery. I can turn the caliper, which means the disc, which means that the parking brake is not engaged, so let's remove it. First, disconnect the plug for the parking brake. There we go. Unbolt the brake line. Okay, it's the flare wrench. That's not good. Not at all. Rust loser. See if I can grip that line somehow. It's working. Oh, this is gonna take forever. There it is. Okay, I have a plug here for the brake line so it doesn't drip constantly. There. Right, that only took 15 hours to do. We're gonna try and push the pads in. Yep, that worked. That's good. Remove the heavily oxidized Bentley cover. Don't know if that needs to come off, but I do want to remove it. Is that just a beauty cover? Pretty much. I think 17 there and 13 on the back. How about the pads? Oh, we don't care about the pads at this point. They still have some meat left on them. Let's take apart this caliper. Okay, it's not good. Well, bugger, that's gonna round off. Ah, crap. Nope, just rounding that off. Now let's first remove the parking brake mechanism. Super corroded. All right. There it is. That's where it's leaking from. Here, utterly destroyed. There's also a code for this motor here. It simply didn't work anymore. Okay, we have an O-ring here. Clipped. Now if we wind down the screw here, the piston should come out. At least, I think so. Oh, it's a lot of brake fluid. Out. There it is. The piston is out. Nice and easy. You just gotta wind that screw. Super bizarre design. So this is what failed. This O-ring on the back. And the brake fluid was coming out of this hole into the housing of the electric parking brake and then down into the wheel. Oh, so bad. The housing inside is clean. That's good. So it's O-ring. So this caliper, thankfully, is the exact same one as for Audi A8 D3, except Bentley drilled 4 holes here, added some threads for that Bentley cap, but otherwise identical. So I can order a rebuild kit for that car, and hopefully we can sort out this caliper. But here's what we have here. An O-ring, it failed. Plate, needle bearings, a shaft, and this cog. That's it. I mean, it's not too complicated, but I need to get all of this brand new. But first we need to see if we can remove this line. And everything is going to smell like gone wrong barbecue. Yep, I'm rounding it off. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to cut this line. Oh, I'm an engineer with a G. There you go. That's out. Cool. This caliper is definitely savable. While I'm waiting on the parts for the brakes to arrive, let's tackle the interior, namely the rust. The carpet is now fully dry. I used that massive heater, and I also put a few of these dehumidifier containers as well as the machine, so it's sucking out all of the moisture. Now we're gonna remove this contraption here. This was sitting in water. It's bound to have some condensation, so we need to inspect it. And then we need to treat this rust here. So this is for the passages in the back, the ventilation. Given how much water we had here, it wouldn't be surprising if this is kaput. Let's see. Yep, there you go. This connector is corroded. How about you, good sir? Oh, a little too bad. Ha! More water there. Yeah, it's all corroded. First, I'm scraping off the top layer of the rust. And then sandblasting the rust away to get the clean metal. Well, that took a lot longer than expected, but I removed as much as I could of the rust. It's not possible to remove 100%. For that, we would need to separate these two panels. This is a structural part. The rust really isn't that bad, so it's not necessary to do that. But I did get pretty far in, using various tools, sandblasting and whatnot. So now we're going to use Brunox Epoxy Rust Converter and Primer, 2-in-1. Apply 2 to 3 layers, let it dry, then paint, then clear coat. And finally, we're going to use cable grease from Liqui Moly, spritz that all over inside and stop any further rust development if this area ever gets wet. But as long as it's not soaking in water again like that, this is not going to rust further. Let that dry, and then we're gonna do paint. Yeah, I grabbed the wrong can. This one's black greenish, so I let that dry and then hit it with some gray paint. And finally, clear coat. I want to show the Bentley what will happen to it if it behaves, what's to come. So actually this works quite well. That is a British car, this is a British product, except that's all German underneath. But this is a British product, so coming in. Vixen Surface Treatments, Aqua Blast 1215, vape blasting cabinet. Bentley, have a taste of this. What did you say? You like it? Yeah. Me too. Ain't that beautiful? Here's the rebuild kit for the Audi A8 D3 rear calipers, except it's the wrong one. I ordered a full rebuild kit and I was sent a wrong one, not once, but twice. I ordered one that comes with everything, including these washers here, the needle bearings, this bushing here, and I received a basic kit that comes just with O-rings and a piston. But at the end of the day, this is what we need to get the car running, so we're gonna rebuild it with what we have. Also, a refurbished caliper from TRW for Audi is available, 287 euros, and it even comes with the EPB motor. The only thing you have to do is drill 4 holes here and add some threads, and then you can mount this cover. Otherwise, identical. So you can go down that route as well if you want. The brake hose is Bentley specific, but it's NLA. I ordered one for the Audi and it's a little bit short, so it's not gonna work. Then I did some digging and I found that E38 brake hose will work. It's just a tad longer, but it'll fit just fine. First, the O-ring. Brake assembly paste from ATE. First, 2 washers and needle bearings in the middle. Then the O-ring. Mount the cog. Pop this in, and I just hope that that bushing will seal. Some assembly lube on the piston as well. Push the boot all the way down. First we need to clip it into the caliper, like that. Can mount the circlip. Yeah, I guess I forgot to mention that I also cleaned up the caliper in the Aqua Blast. This clip is a tight fit. I'm gonna pour some brake fluid in there, just to confirm it's no longer leaking. Forgot about the hole on the side. But it looks like the O-ring is holding up, which is good. Okay, that's confirmed. It's no longer leaking here from the O-ring. Now I can pop in the piston. So first clip it in the back, where you can't see it, and then the rest. All right, and that's fully clipped in. So we can push the piston in, or at least as far as it'll go. Now we should be able to retract it. So make sure the boot is clipped in nicely all around. There you go. So this is how the handbrake should work now. So if the motor winds down this way, it'll push the piston out. You can see it coming out. And then if it winds back, it should release the tension. We have an O-ring here. Let's do the bleed screw. That's the caliper done. The EPB electric parking brake is unfortunately not available from TRW. You can only buy Chinese replicas, which are around 50 euros or so. I did order one to inspect it, and it didn't arrive. So I have to see if we can get this one to work, at least for now. But the housing is cracked, and this was soaked in brake fluid. So let me take it apart and see what's the state of it on the inside. This is probably glued together, isn't it? Yep. This cover is plastic welded on. There's no way to remove it. At least I don't see a way to remove it without breaking it. So for now, we're going to leave it as is. Just going to spritz some alcohol in there, smush it around, and yeah, try to clean it. You can see there's a belt inside driving this motor. Alcohol is better than, yeah, look at that. And brake fluid. This is a pretty neat system if you think about it. It eliminates so much hardware, parking brake shoes, cables, the whole contraption with the springs. And as far as I've read, this system is actually pretty robust. But yeah, this can happen due to age and people not changing brake fluid. So because of the corrosion oxidation that was happening here, the housing expanded and cracked. So let's do brake line. A38 brake line. Get some BMW reliability. Nice. Let's mount the caliper and bleed the brakes. Top tip for all Bentley owners out there. E38 7 Series brake hose fits perfectly. It curves all around the wishbones. It's not touching anything. It just kind of swoops all around and then connects to that line. €6 that brake hose and €25 for the rebuild kit. Ha! 31 euros to fix a brake leak. It's a Bentley, man. 250,000 euros brand new. And here we are fixing it for peanuts. Spent more on my coffee beans yesterday than I did on this. With this installed, the Bentley is now going to recognize this and say, he's treating me well. I'm going to be good for him so he can treat the rest of me well. Yeah, wishful thinking. Let's add some brake fluid. Liquid Moly .4. happy to report that the caliper is no longer leaking. So let's bleed it. I'm not going to bleed the system all around because complete brakes need to be refurbished. So it will be a waste of time to do it now because everything needs to be taken apart. Just not now. Now we want to drive this thing. A lot of air in there. There it goes. I think that'll do it. The fluid is coming out bubble free. So that's the brake fluid leak fixed for 31 euros on a Bentley. These wheels are positively ghastly, and we're definitely going to change them if we end up restoring this fine automobile. There's rust here. That's good. After a few days, the rear right corner goes down, which means that that air shock is leaking. Great. I want to quickly troubleshoot the airbag light. Got a code for the front driver's crash sensor. It's this thing here. Lives underneath this cover. I already removed the bolts. And this one looks really crispy. So this is one on the passenger side. So I'm thinking let's unplug this one, connect this one here. And if the code goes away, then we know that the sensor is the issue. If it stays, then we have a problem with wiring and or control module. I think someone was already in here because the bolts are different than on the other side. And they're loose. Yep. Cool. So this one is actually cracked here. That bolt is rusty, and they're different than on the other side. So hopefully this is the issue, because this will be cheap and easy to fix. There we go. I bought a VCDS cable, 300 European shillings, but it's very easy and simple to set up and use. I already tested it last night. So fault codes, clear the codes, done. Yes, the code went away. It moved to the passenger side, which means the sensor is faulty. Cool. That's nice and easy. I also used this tool to calibrate the steering angle sensor. The traction control light was on because of that, and it went away. So that's pretty neat. Let's get the sensor off. This one is fully stripped, and this one is coming out. Great, I'm bending the whole thing. Ah, scheiße. That's why no one changed it. This is fully cooked. Let's Dremel it off. Really rusty in there. So this is what I want to break here, the bracket. Okay. Nope. I'm gonna have to cut it off and then drill it out. Otherwise I'm gonna ruin this bracket. Well, it's a jolly molly Christmas. There it is. That's why no one replaced that before. Pain, but wow, even the threads are still good. That's nice. I forgot to press record, but I spray painted that matte black. The sensor didn't arrive yet, but I spent a whopping 650, no, it was 6 euros. Let's sort out the leaking CV axle boots. Look at those brakes. Massive caliper, massive rotor, all shot to bits. I don't know if Bilstein is aftermarket or if this is original equipment. This says 2019, I think, so these were replaced in the front. Nice, man. The issue is rather simple. Someone didn't install this clamp properly and it came off. So the grease is coming out and just spritzing everywhere. This one here is fine. Didn't come off. So we need to clean this up. Maybe try and pump a bit of grease inside of the boot and put a new clamp. Let's remove the old clamp first. So that's the clamp off. Now I want to see if we can open up the boot just a little bit so I can stick my gun in there and put a bit more grease, because obviously a bit of it came out. Aha, we can do that. Perfect. Like so. Ooh, I think my bottle's empty. Got more Pinot Grigio, and this is Pinot Grigio from Liquid Moly. Highest quality only. I think that's plenty. Now you gotta find a fitting clamp. It's too small. This one surely. Oh, perfect match. And this is an original Whittaker clamp. There we go. Nice and tight. Clamp that someone used on here before wasn't genuine, and it was too thin as well. Right, now I'm gonna clean up the area and then we'll monitor for leaks. Beautiful Bilstein shocks. Nice and easy fix. Free as well. I'm tired of holding up the bonnet with a plank of wood, so I got hood shocks. Replacing hood shocks is the easiest thing in the world. You just pull on the clip, pull out the blown shock, let it roll down the shop. They come with new grease inside, so wipe off the old stuff. Done. Say sayonara to the plank of wood. Ah, much better. Ooh, sorry, that's very smooth. See, it has the second shock to kind of slow it down and make it smooth when it opens. I like that. See? Very cool. Got the upgraded part to fix the oil dipshit from the UK, and since UK is no longer part of European Union, I had to pay import duties and tax. This was 12 euros, so the tax was what? 1, 2, maybe 3 euros. No, it was 10, because that makes sense. German customs, very good at taking your money. Let's get my ghetto fix out. So the original part is made out of plastic, and when it breaks and the oil dip is no longer sealing, you get misfires. So this is the upgraded part that I got from the U of K. Does it just slide on? Can you just smack it on? I would imagine so. I'm going to proceed Operation Smacky Smackerson. There it is. Fully seated. And as this is brass, we will never have this issue again. This is an aftermarket pipe, that's why it's touching the oil dipstick. And the dipstick now, clicks into place. Take it out, just pull it out. That's a nice design. For 12 euros, that's a nice upgrade. Lastly, a genuine Volkswagen plug. This was €1.75. So what we're gonna do to stop potential rust happening there on the edges, I'm gonna use cable grease, Salfet from Liqui Moly, spritz it inside of the grommet, push it from below, and that's gonna stop water penetrating that area and potentially having rust there again. Just like that. Now push this in from below. Like that. And actually we gotta spray some cable grease inside here, especially in here, behind the leg where we couldn't remove the rust. It's exactly what I want to see, coming in between the metal. That'll do it. We are ready to reassemble the interior. It is fully dry. First I used a heater to dry the carpet because it was soaking wet, and then the entire time that the humidifier was running, I think I've been drying this thing for about 2 weeks and it's fully dry. No more water. Also I had to replace that bit of sound deadening over there because the water destroyed the old one. It came off. The rust is fixed. Let's start the reassembly process. This is the air distribution block that was swimming in water. We have electrical stuff on here. This connector is oxidized. There's rust coming out of this box here, rust coming out of this hole. Obviously, it's not going to be good. And I was planning on opening this up, see if I can clean it, see if I can save it, but I'm not gonna bother doing that because I bought a replacement used part. Now, this is an electrical box. That is a Bentley that cost 235,000 euros back in the day. So what do you think? How much does this contraption cost? 500 euros? That would be reasonable for an expensive car like that. Well, it's not. 300, 200, 100, surely at least 50. Nope, paid 20 euros shipped for this thing because it's the exact same part that VW uses. Exact same part number, down to the letter. So I'm just not gonna waste any time on that old part. This is good, doesn't have any oxidation, corrosion. It's just gonna work. And I really like this so far because everything underneath of this car is Volkswagen. I know there will be some Bentley specific parts, but so far, cheap fixing this car, cheap. So the original connectors were all corroded. The replacement part came with connectors, so I soldered those in. We don't have to worry about that either.
That's the interior back together. It needs to be taken apart completely and thoroughly cleaned because of the mold, but for now, to make it safe and to be able to drive, we are going to run an ozone generator for about 2 hours. This will kill all bacteria that currently reside in the Bentley.
There it goes. Now we're gonna attempt to drive the Bentley for the first time. I'm gonna pull it outside, let it run while I set up all of the cameras, and if it doesn't turn off, then we're gonna set off on the maiden voyage. If it turns off, well, then it turns off. Right, it's been running well over 20 minutes, so I think the attempt is on. I just got a scribble in my little diary here. 2:40 p.m. It smells like cheap perfume. I need to wipe that off. Disgusting. Geon Purify Maintain. Disgusting, bro. I'm thinking the steering wheel as well. We have to clean that. Yeah. And the shift knob. Okay, now we can go. This car was never smoked in. Look at this. Well, you probably can't see it because it's too dark, but this cigarette lighter was never used. I think first we're gonna drive it around the block just to see if it'll stay running. And if yes, then we're gonna hit the gas station. Look at me rolling in my Bentley. Steering is very light. The mirrors are super small. Officially on the road with my Bentley. I have a triangle, I think I have the tow hook, and I have the safety vest in case we break down. And also I'm wearing a green hoodie to match the color of the Bentley. Good luck. Ooh, knocking in the front left. That's that stuff that we found earlier. Thought it turned off for a second there. It's running so smooth. All right, let's go get fuel. Transmission shift's fine. It's actually really smooth. I'm floating. This is nice. 6-speed ZF automatic transmission. Let's try the brakes. Oh. Oh, it sounds good. Sounds good. Feels like the front windows are tinted and the rear ones aren't. Are they? They are. Need to remove the tint. Shit, that's illegal in Germany. Oh, I like this engine. It's very potent. Take the curve, hit the apex, end up in a bush because the tires are old. You know what? That engine pulls great. It actually drives really, really smooth. All right, time to get some fuel and then... Oh, the brakes are not good. The brakes are really, really not good. Aha! What does it say? Whoa, we are overheating. No! Oh, that's not good at all. Whoa, we're steaming. We are steaming, man. Oh, no. Yeah, that's great. That's good. I'll bet you anything this isn't the first time that this happened. Just as it started going well, it turned around and went horribly wrong. This vehicle has an underlying issue that was undisclosed, and we just learned about it by actually test driving the car. Stay on your toes for the next episode where we troubleshoot further and decide the fate of this car. Is it actually worth fixing or not? Thank you so much for watching. Happy New Year, and I'll see you in 2026. Keep running cool, unlike Bentley.